Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thanks very much. Good evening once again, everyone. And here we are, ready for another opportunity for you to call us and air your opinions. And you do this 7 nights a week on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Call that Bordis and Bordis hotline number at 412-5. 600. We have a lot to talk about, and also join us for the #1 Cochrane Sports Showdown. That's 11:35 KDKA. Panel tonight will include Tib Benz, Jason Mackey, and the man sitting to my left who is here for a maiden voyage on the Sports Call, Andrew Fillipponi. You know him as the host of the PM show on The Fan every day, 2 to 6.
I'm a rookie, Bob.
You're a rookie, but you've been around. And
I want this rookie showing here.
You've already had cups won, and you're here for the first time. So Andrew is here. We're going to take your calls, and we have a lot to talk about. And one of the things we will talk about is, since you brought up Matt Murray, is Matt Murray, Andrew, because he played well last night after he had 2 goals at the end of the Buffalo game, which I thought should have been stopped. We saw that in the Philadelphia Stadium Series game. But it showed me a lot that Mike Sullivan were right back to him last night, and he played extremely well. He validated that decision. So, Andrew, my question now, and we'll tackle this on the Sports Call, they only have 17 games left. They're still not in a great position. Yeah. There is the #1 wild card. How many times does Matt Murray play the rest of the way?
Yeah, I think it's a catch-22, and as long as they're in a position where they're not clear of Columbus and Carolina, I think you got to play them. And even in a back-to-back situation.
Out of 17, give me a number.
I think you would start with probably 13 or 14, maybe more, Bob. I mean, it depends how close they are, and it depends how much they value home ice advantage, too.
No, I think, they'll tell you when you don't have it, home ice doesn't mean anything, but it does matter. I think if you're in a position where you have it, you'd rather have it.
Right.
And so right now, they're still in a battling position. There are a lot of teams. Carolina's been hot. So I guess the other question would be, do you believe that Columbus has fallen apart? Ever since they've made their trades, they haven't been very good. Or Montreal, any of those teams, which ones are?
Well, I'll start with Columbus. It feels like they've got a little bit of the Pirates after they'd made the Kella and Archer trade thing going on, where there's this big hoopla. You feel like they won the trade deadline, and now we're going to catapult them to the top of the Metro Division. And I haven't seen it. I think Bobrovsky again today, Bob, was terrible.
Terrible.
25 shots. He let 4 goals in against Winnipeg, and that's one thing to lose to the Jets. But they lost to the Oilers the day before. So I'm not buying Columbus. I don't think they have to be better than the Penguins. I like Carolina because they've got the back end. So when you've got a defense, you can build from there on out. I think that they're legit. The Islanders have gotten great goaltending, so I think they'll stay in it. Montreal, I think, is a fraud too. Because if Carey Price for them is the great equalizer, if he's not excellent,
right,
I think they leave a lot to be desired. I don't think they're that good.
Getting back to your Bobrovsky, I'm surprised that Tortorella keeps going with him. He has shown me down the stretch here. And
he traded for Kincaid.
Right. Kincaid, I thought, was maybe a Penguin-related deal, although they denied that. Although next week, we got 2 games coming up here. It's head-to-head, Pittsburgh-Columbus. I would be shocked if Bobrovsky played both those games.
Yeah, so would I. And I would play Kincaid in the first game, and if he's good, I'd bring him back for the next one.
Why not? At this point, Bobrovsky has failed. At least the last week and a half he has. All right, we'll also talk about the latest with Antonio Brown. And never seen, at some point we're going to have this station-wide veto of any Antonio Brown news or conversation, because we've talked about it now for 2 months. However, you had a chance to see all these interviews he did. The one on ESPN I thought was a PR thing, nothing more. There was never a pushback by Jeff Darlington, and he should have. The one with LeBron James was what it was. It was a show. He made some pretty amazing things that he said. What's your take on how that's hampered the Steelers?
Yeah, let's start with the HBO thing for a second, because to me, I think you saw he's with LeBron James, he's with Anthony Davis, he's with 2 guys who believe that even when they're not free agents, they can dictate terms because of how valuable they think they are. LeBron James thinks he's above the coach. He wants to be an NBA owner when he's done. So he thinks he can move the chess pieces around. If he wants a coach fired, if he wants to change teams, he can. And I think that it was by design that Antonio Brown went on that show, because I think he's trying to take the NBA model and apply it to the NFL. Even though I'm under contract, I'm good enough to tell you where I'm going to play.
No, I agree with what you're saying. I don't agree with his stance. I certainly don't like what Anthony Davis has done. I don't think anybody who's under contract should do that, but they're going to do that. We'll see what it means. I think it's ultimately hurt nobody but Antonio Brown and the Steelers who are trying to get rid of him, and they can't, at least not maybe to the tune that they want. They wanted originally a first-round pick and a player. That apparently has been reduced. What do you think it's going to end up being?
Well, I thought the interview, the ESPN one, I thought really hurt his trade value. Right. Because when he's saying, I make the rules, I didn't do anything wrong, I'm not to blame, and oh, by the way, I don't need football. You've got to pay me or it's not worth my while to play. How many teams are going to cough up big draft picks and then turn around and give Antonio Brown $40 million guaranteed? I don't see it.
I don't either. What do you see? Call us 412-575-2600. We'll take those calls and tweets. You can tweet us at KDPomp, at the Pony Express. It's all coming up next right here live on Pittsburgh CW. The Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call is brought to you by Ireland Contracting, putting new roofs on Pittsburgh homes for over 25 years. Call Ireland Contracting at 1-800-NEW-ROOF.